Hello friends, and welcome to our channel, where we tell the powerful, true stories of heroes of faith who changed history by simply saying yes to God. If you're not already part of our family, do me a quick favor right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you'll never miss these life-changing journeys of courage, miracles, and total trust in the Lord. We drop new videos every week, and your subscription helps us keep bringing these saints to life for thousands of believers just like you. Thank you so much. Now, let's dive in. Today, we're traveling back more than 800 years to medieval Catalonia, Spain, to meet one of the quietest yet most powerful heroes the Church has ever known, Saint Raymond of Penyafort. Born in 1175 and living all the way to 1275, this man walked with God for a full century. We drop new videos every week, and your subscription helps us keep bringing these saints to life for thousands of believers just like you. Thank you so much. Now, let's dive in. Today, we're traveling back more than 800 years to medieval Catalonia, Spain, to meet one of the quietest yet most powerful heroes the Church has ever known, Saint Raymond of Penyafort. Born in 1175 and living all the way to 1275, this man walked with God for a full century. He was a brilliant lawyer, a humble Dominican friar, a trusted advisor to kings and popes, the father of modern canon law, and the instrument through which God performed one of the most breathtaking miracles in the history of the saints. Raymond didn't seek the spotlight. He simply offered every gift God had given him: his sharp mind, his noble position, his unwavering obedience. And God used him to bring order to the Church, mercy to sinners, freedom to captives, and glory to his name. Picture the world into which Raymond was born. It was the height of the Reconquista in Spain. Christian kingdoms were slowly reclaiming land from Muslim rule. The Church was growing rapidly, but needed clear laws to guide bishops, priests, and the faithful. Universities were blossoming, new religious orders were springing up, and the call to preach the gospel to Muslims and Jews was burning in many hearts. Into this exciting, turbulent time stepped a boy from a noble family tied to the royal house of Aragon. Raymond was born in the small town of Santa Margarida y els Monjos, just a short ride from Barcelona, at the family castle of Penyafort. From his earliest years, those around him noticed something special. Ancient writers tell us that, although in years a child, his heart was that of an old man. He had a tender devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary that would stay with him his entire life. His family gave him the best education available. He studied philosophy and rhetoric in Barcelona, and by the time he was just 20 years old, in 1195, he was already teaching canon law right there in the cathedral school. For the next 15 years, he shaped the minds of future priests and lawyers, teaching without charge because he believed knowledge of God's law should never be sold. But Raymond wasn't satisfied. He knew there was more to learn. In 1210, at age 35, he left Spain for the famous University of Bologna in Italy, the Harvard of the Middle Ages for law. There, he earned doctorates in both civil law and canon law. He quickly became so respected that the university gave him the chair of canon law. Students from all over Europe crowded his lectures. While teaching, he also wrote a major treatise on ecclesiastical legislation that is still preserved in the Vatican Library today. God was clearly preparing this man's mind for something enormous. In 1222, after 12 years in Bologna, Raymond returned home to Barcelona. He was now 47. One day, he heard the preaching of Blessed Reginald of Bologna, a fiery Dominican, and something stirred deep in his soul. The Dominican Order, founded only a few years earlier by Saint Dominic, was on fire with zeal for preaching and saving souls. Raymond asked to join. He received the white habit and black cloak of the Order of Preachers in the Dominican convent of Barcelona. From that moment, his life would never be the same. Almost immediately, God began to use him in remarkable ways. Together with St. Peter Nolasco, Raymond helped found the Order of Mercedarians, the Order of Our Lady of Mercy. Their mission was breathtaking: to ransom Christian captives held by Muslim rulers in North Africa and Spain. These brave men would offer themselves as hostages if necessary so that others could go free. Raymond wrote the first rules for the order and poured his legal genius into protecting the rights of both the captives and the redeemers. At the same time, he founded language schools in Barcelona and even in Tunis, so that Dominican friars could learn Arabic and Hebrew and preach the gospel directly to Muslims and Jews. God was using Raymond's organizational skill to set thousands of souls free, both physically and spiritually. Word of this brilliant, holy friar reached all the way to Rome. In 1229, the papal legate Cardinal John of Abbeville made Raymond his personal theologian and penitentiary. Then, in 1230, Pope Gregory IX himself summoned Raymond to the Eternal City. The Pope made him his chaplain and grand penitentiary, the man in charge of handling the most difficult cases of conscience in the entire Church. Popes don't choose lightly. Gregory saw in Raymond a rare combination of razor-sharp intellect and deep pastoral heart. And then came the work that would make Raymond's name echo through the centuries. The Church's laws were scattered across hundreds of letters, decrees, and council documents. It was chaos. Bishops and priests didn't know which rules were still in force. Pope Gregory gave Raymond the monumental task of collecting, organizing, and editing all the important papal decrees from the previous 80 years into one clear, authoritative collection. Raymond worked with tireless precision. In 1234, he presented the finished work to the Pope, 5 books of the Decretals of Gregory IX. The Pope was overjoyed. He immediately published them with a special bull, ordering that only Raymond's collection be used in schools and courts. For nearly 700 years, until the 1917 Code of Canon Law, this was the official law of the Catholic Church. Historians call Raymond the father of canon law. Think about that, friends. God took one man's brilliant legal mind and used it to bring order, justice, and clarity to the entire universal church. Every time a bishop today applies canon law fairly, every time a marriage case is handled justly, every time the rights of the faithful are protected, we can trace a line straight back to the quiet work of Saint Raymond of Penyafort in a Roman study nearly 8 centuries ago. Pope Gregory was so impressed he wanted to make Raymond Archbishop of Tarragona. Raymond humbly declined. He didn't want honors. He wanted souls. He returned to Spain and continued his quiet but powerful service. In 1238, the Dominican Order elected him Master General, the 3rd successor to Saint Dominic himself. At 63 years old, he accepted, but only for a short time. He visited houses on foot, revised the Dominican constitutions, and, at his personal request, asked a young Dominican professor named Thomas Aquinas to write a book explaining the faith to Muslims and pagans. That book became the famous Summa Contra Gentiles. After just 2 years, Raymond resigned, saying he was too old for the burden. The order loved him even more for his humility. Back in Spain, God used Raymond again in a very practical way. He wrote the Summa de Causibus Penitentiae, the first real manual for confessors. This massive work explained every kind of sin, the doctrines behind them, and the appropriate penances. Priests all over Europe carried it with them. It helped bring mercy and justice into the confessional. Countless souls found healing because Raymond taught priests how to be both firm and compassionate. But perhaps the moment when God used Raymond most dramatically came around the year 1269 on the island of Majorca. King James I of Aragon, whom Raymond served as confessor, had invited the saint to help convert the Muslim population. Raymond preached with power, and many were baptized. But the king had brought his mistress with him, openly living in sin and giving terrible scandal. Raymond confronted the king privately again and again. "Your Majesty, for the sake of your soul and the souls of your people, send her away." The king promised but never did. Finally, Raymond said, "I can no longer stay." He decided to return to Barcelona. The king, furious, ordered that no ship captain could give him passage on pain of death. Raymond and one companion walked down to the rocky shore. The companion was terrified. Raymond calmly removed his long black Dominican cloak, the kappa, and spread one end of it on the water. He took his walking staff, tied one corner of the cloak to it like a mast and sail, made the sign of the cross, stepped onto the cloak as if it were a boat, and said to his friend, "If you have faith, come with me." The companion, shaking, stayed on the beach. With another sign of the cross, Raymond pushed off. The cloak instantly became rigid beneath his feet. A heavenly wind filled the makeshift sail. In full view of dozens of sailors and soldiers on the shore and in the harbor, the saint sailed away across the open Mediterranean. He covered the 160 miles to Barcelona in just 6 hours, a journey that normally took days. When he stepped onto the beach in Barcelona, his cloak was perfectly dry. He folded it, put it back on, and quietly walked through the astonished crowd straight into his convent. News raced back to Majorca. King James was stunned. He fell on his knees, repented, sent his mistress away, and became a fervent supporter of Raymond's missionary work for the rest of his life. That single miracle preached louder than any sermon. It showed the world that when a man obeys God completely and human doors are slammed shut, God himself will open the sea. Raymond continued working into his 90s and beyond. He advised kings, guided the Inquisition with justice and mercy, organized the famous Barcelona disputation of 1263 between a Jewish rabbi and a Christian convert, and kept preaching, hearing confessions, and writing. At age 100, on January 6, 1275, he received the last sacraments in Barcelona. Princesses, 2 kings, and a queen came to his bedside. He died peacefully, whispering prayers. Miracles broke out immediately at his funeral. The Church recognized his heroic virtue, and in 1601, Pope Clement VIII canonized him. His feast is celebrated on January 7th. He is the patron saint of canon lawyers and all lawyers. Friends, what does the life of Saint Raymond of Penyafort say to us today? First, God can use your mind. Raymond didn't hide his brilliance. He laid it at the feet of Jesus. Whether you're a lawyer, teacher, business person, or student, offer your intellect to God. He needs clear thinkers in his church. Second, God honors radical obedience and trust. When the king blocked every boat, Raymond didn't argue or complain. He trusted, and God did the impossible. What sea is in front of you right now? Step onto it in faith. Third, God loves humble service. Raymond turned down archbishop and resigned as master general. He preferred the confessional and the classroom. True greatness in God's kingdom is found in hidden, faithful service. Fourth, God's mercy flows through order and law. Raymond's decretals and his summa brought justice and healing. In our chaotic world, we still need men and women who will defend truth, protect the vulnerable, and apply God's law with love. Saint Raymond shows us that one life fully surrendered to God can shape centuries. His work still protects the Church today. His miracles still inspires us to believe nothing is impossible for those who trust. Thank you for spending these 20 minutes with me walking through the life of this incredible hero of faith. If Saint Raymond's story stirred something in your heart, if you want more of these powerful saint stories every week, please make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button if this blessed you, leave a comment telling me which part touched you most, and share this video with someone who needs encouragement right now. Your support keeps these stories reaching more people who are hungry for real faith. God bless you richly, keep you close to His heart, and fill you with the same courage and trust that carried a saint across the sea on nothing but a cloak. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, walk in faith. Note, this story is in a book. If you need it, check the description for details.